Welcome to the Global Gurus podcast, a 15-minute episode where we have conversations with thinkers that are shaping the future of leadership and business. In every episode, we ask 3 questions. What's the biggest problem you're seeing across your customers or challenges you're facing among your clients today? What's the original methodology or the unique solutions that you've brought to bear to help address those challenges? And how are you applying those to create real results in the world today? So I'm Mark Nation. I'm here with my co-host, Rhett Power. Hey, Rhett, how's it going?
Good morning.
All right. Today we're joined by Claire Boscq. Claire is one of the absolute most well-renowned, well-regarded customer service solutions thought leaders today. Claire, how are you?
I'm so good. Thank you very much. It's lovely to be here. And thank you for asking me to join this new podcast. How exciting.
It's great to have you.
We're thrilled to have you. Thrilled to have you. So let's dive into it. What are you seeing across your customer base and your clients as far as big challenges or problems?
Yeah, so I think my industry is all about customer experience, and I think it's becoming a much broader conversation when we talk about CX. Really, the customer experience. We talk a lot, and I find the challenges that businesses have at the moment. It's really looking at their employees, because you can't really have customer experience if you don't have the employee experience. And I think a lot of organizations are missing this. Just a tiny little thing, really, if we want to give good service to our customers, we really need to look after our people as well. And so I find that at the moment, there's a mismatch between what the organization are trying to do and actually how internally they're putting things in place to connect and to really kind of create a real culture where people want to stay, where people feel engaged, where they're not going to swap from one job to the other for a couple of dollars because they're feeling that they're not feeling valued. And with AI and all that technology that comes behind, we really need to kind of get people to feel valued. So our customers need to feel valued, but our internal customers need to feel valued first. And I think that's a big piece of work that needs to be done. And it's, people think, oh yes, customer experience, it's easy. Well, it's not easy. Maybe, it may seem, simple, but it's not an easy task to please customers, which are more and more demanding. They can go anywhere at any time. Things are very fast. Their expectations are so fast and so quick that we need to be able to get to that demand of our customers. And now we do it that by doing that. If we're missing our first customers and our internal people, that's never gonna happen. The outcome is never gonna happen.
Claire, this is really interesting to me because I never understood why there's such a disconnect, right? I mean, it's so intuitively, just makes such intuitive sense to me that if you take care of your people, they take care of you. And so what is the methodology? Let's talk a little bit about your approach to this and how you work with people to sort of make that light bulb go off, so to speak, and help them make that shift so that, because in a lot of ways it naturally happens. But the more you take care of people, the more they love what they do and where they work, they take care of it. I mean, it happens a lot naturally, but I know there's a methodology to it.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been in my core of my business back 16 years ago was mystery shopping. So I started really in the CX industry. I used to be a hotel manager in the past. So I've been, in that kind of service industry forever. And running a mystery shopping company made me realize we were actually measuring things, but the disconnect was right from the beginning. If we don't know the customer journey, we're not going to be able, what are we measuring? But then you realize that the people on train, they don't know what they're doing. So what's the point to be measuring anything when all those things beforehand are not being done properly? So I think, when I was looking at the pandemic arrive, obviously, and this was a real shifting time for me, because from a very structured, let's measure customer experience, let's train our staff in a way, let's do a customer journey mapping, all those things are very tangible, almost, to realizing how do we people feel. And the pandemic, everybody suddenly was locked into their homes, or were having to put all sorts of things in their head or in their mask, and where suddenly we realized that the environment that is around us is affecting us hugely, and the energy that is around us affect the energy that is around me. So when the pandemic arrived, my business got really damaged, and I had to close the business, really. And I really shift that to coming out with something which is a little bit woo-woo, but I had been a Feng Shui practitioner. So Feng Shui is the Chinese principle, and it's really looking at the environment and the energy of the outside affect us. And a lot of organizations completely missing that point. If you're customers or an employee, if you're walking in somewhere and it doesn't feel right, you don't know why, but it just doesn't feel right, you're not going to stay in that place, right? You'll want to just buy whatever you want to buy, and then you'll go again. And if you as an employee, you're working in a place and it's dark and it smells and, there's no light, and you're not going to perform, right? And so suddenly I brought the Feng Shui principles into businesses to really enhance the experience that we're delivering, and experience that our customers are feeling. And that becomes the emotions that we're creating. Because if we connect with our customers on an emotional level, if we could connect with our employees and make them feel valued and make them feel part of something, then it's going to deliver that amazing service. So that emotional connection is so important for everything that we do. And the Feng Shui side of it, the outer energy, which affects us, is actually something that people miss a lot. So during the pandemic, I kind of brought this new method, and I've called it the heart-led business blueprint, because it really looked at the culture that we have. It looks at the people and the engagement. It looks at the environment that we create, the flow, the energy that we create. And then it looks at the customers and how do we celebrate all that together. So there's a 5 steps method that I use. And this is something that it's very close to my heart, and it's something that no one else talks about. It's that Feng Shui side of it, the environment piece of it is a big, big part on a subconscious level, which is very often forgotten.
Yeah,
so fascinating. I mean, if you think about it, it's like we as individuals have nervous systems, and we put out this energy, whether intentional or not. And that's how we carry ourselves around. And it's not too different in a corporate environment where the nervous system is kind of like the culture. And it's just multiplied all the people and the unspoken or spoken rules and norms. And what is carried forward is this energy, and you don't necessarily touch it, but you can certainly feel it. And I'm curious, how when you put this forward to organizations, how receptive are they to working on something that they don't necessarily see, but is certainly there, and it's not just pictures and principles hanging on the wall?
No, that's true. Well, actually, if anything, the pandemic has helped that situation, because as soon as we talked about You had offices, and the next minute everybody had to work from a side of a bed or kitchen table. How do you feel when you were sitting on that kitchen table? And then suddenly, like, well, I didn't feel right. I had the kids, I had the dogs, I had the phone. I had, I wasn't feeling right. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't focus, overwhelmed, all those kind of words, which are pure and simply because the environment around you was not productive. So coming in and actually starting explaining that kind of things, people have been a lot more open to it. And I think I've used environment psychology for many years in the past, and it was a very corporate word, environment psychology. It looks very corporate. And when I came out and actually talked about Feng Shui and talked about that, the Chinese principles were thousands and thousands of years ago, people have been using it in all over the world in every possible ways. We all do it. If it doesn't feel right somewhere, somehow, you're going to change it. And suddenly kinds of people make people realize that the intangible becomes tangible. If people feel right, they feel good, they're going to be productive, they're going to smile more, they're going to work as a team, they're going to be more creative. And that enhanced the customer experience in the end, the one without the other. And that's why this method is very close to me, because really coming at with that environment piece, with the others, you can't do one without the others. And when we're missing a piece of that jigsaw, it just doesn't feel right. And I think a lot of businesses have lost their hearts. They've lost a lot of the things that they cared about. And the people in the middle have lost their hope for their organization and how they share things. And, this is a little bit why I've just launched my new book, which is called When Work Works. And it's about repairing the heart of businesses so people and performance shine from within, because we want that. We want people to shine from within. That's what it's all about.
I've got to ask, I do a lot of tech conferences, and I'm at one right now in San Francisco. And yesterday in the session, it was great because I had yesterday free, and I sat in a lot of sessions, which I don't normally get to do. But one of the things that came up yesterday was this whole automation, right? AI can automate your customer service, and it can transform your, and they came from the angle of sort of the financial savings of having some of these things. And I sat there, listened to that, and my heart just sank, because there were no people in the equation, in the conversation. And I think that's a mistake. What's your take on how, we're getting so focused on the technology and what it can do for us in terms of the economic savings and stuff? It seems like we're taking the heart out of business a little bit. What's your take on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree that the digital experience can only.
And what's the danger? What's the danger, I think, for business?
Yeah, and the danger is that they're not actually embracing the technology in the way that they're training their people with it. They're leaving them out. So suddenly there's going to be something that's happening there where there's systems, but there's no hearts in between, and they're not connected with it, and they don't know how to use it. So they are going to lose people. And instead of having that connections where everybody works and enhance each other's job, that's what the technology is supposed to be doing. It's enhancing that experience. It's just making people feel bad and making employees feel awkward. And so instead of training them properly, giving them the tools to use it properly, getting them engaged and connected with it, that's where the big pitfall is going to happen. There's not enough people which have been really trained and are giving the tools to use that technology. And so, it will come a time where, yes, there will be some jobs will be lost because the productivity will be better in certain ways. But however that experience comes back to that emotional level. We are people. We want to talk to people. And if something of the technology doesn't work, you want to speak with somebody. And there's organization now who are doing that very well. They are really slick on their user experience, and the DX is working really well. and they've got a people experience behind it. You've got the customer experience, which is there. You've got the touch points, which are all mapped out, which work together. And so there's a big piece of work which needs to be done. The three of them are working together. Digital experience, employee experience, and the customer experience are all working together for sure.
Yeah, it's unquestionable the positive energy you bring to life and to the workplaces. So if people want to learn more, how can they find you, Claire?
Yeah, so I think, my website, claireboscq.com, is probably a good place. I'm on all sorts of social media between TikTok and LinkedIn. And, I think for me, it's about being on stage and really kind of creating, giving the audience some really practical tools for them to go back and actually make some changes and realize, whether we're using the yin energy. I love when I do my keynote, I will, get people to almost do a visualization of their offices so they can feel it. They use their five senses, but then, I'll do a lot in workshops as well, where we can really look at the different touch points and the journey mapping and the things that they need to use to actually get the three together, whether it's the DX, the EX, and the CX together. So I do a lot on the keynote speaking and the keynote stages, and I do some masterclasses as well. And if anybody wants to get in touch, I'm all over social media.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much, Claire, for your time. And we really appreciate it. So there you have it. 3 questions, 1 methodology, and real results. That's what we explore on each episode of Global Gurus podcast. So I'm Mark Nation, here with my co-host, Rhett Power. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye.